Hi, I've been struggling with insecurities recently. Well, not recently, but they've gotten a bit out of hand and I've been spiraling a bit. I think because as well I've been experiencing a lot of anxiety recently as well, and I think anxiety can cause stuff to come up, obviously. So I'm just making this as a reminder to myself. All the lessons that I've learnt, I now can put into place again. I don't need to freak out. I can take a couple of deep breaths and just accept where I am and reflect and not freak out and just think out loud. And if anyone wants to listen to this and hopefully take something away from it too, I'm not an expert about this. This is just my experiences, my perspective, and things that I've learned. You may see things from a completely different view, and that's okay, and you probably will do because we all have different experiences that inform the way we see the world. I would also like to point out that I'm a white woman who's been relatively slim all her life, so that would inform the way I see things. Obviously, I can't really speak on, anyone else's experiences. I can only really speak on mine and mine advice. I'm not saying that, like, changing your view about yourself when you've had a certain belief about the way that you look for so long implanted in you by society and those around you. Again, these are just my experiences and my opinions on it, and hopefully it will help some people out. What shocks me about my own experience is that how young I was when I first started to be insecure. I'm in my early 20s. I'm obviously still very young, but when I was younger, social media wasn't really a thing. And the first memory I have of being really insecure, I think I was about 8, 9 years old. And so obviously I'm in primary school, and I remember telling my best friend at the time, as soon as I was old enough, I was going to get plastic surgery because my face was just so horrible and I needed to change it. And when she would try and change my mind or try and say, like, oh, what if it goes wrong and you end up with something horrible and it's irreversible and you can't fix it, and I would turn around and I would say to her, it can't be worse than what I already look like now. Which is such a shocking thing for an 8-year-old and 9-year-old to say, to even think, to even know about plastic surgery, to even think that you need to change everything about the way that you look. And when I think about it, it upsets me so much. At these times, I wasn't into magazines, I wasn't really into fashion, I wasn't online, I wasn't on social media. So I don't really know where these thoughts and feelings kind of sprung from. I guess it was just a societal thing, maybe. I honestly, I don't know. But it's so upsetting to think about. And I think as well, just a reminder to give yourself grace on like this self-love journey and coming back to yourself and accepting your beauty. Any span of time when you think badly about yourself, that's gonna like kind of stick to you, and it's gonna be hard to get rid of it fully, you know what I mean? And we're gonna have good days and bad days. And when you have a bad day, when you have a hiccup or a bump in the road, you shouldn't beat yourself up for it, especially if you've had these negative beliefs about yourself for some time, because it is hard to shift it, but just know that you will, and that bad days or still having insecurities is unfortunately part of just the human experience. And as long as they don't fully consume you and make you believe that is all you are, then that's okay. I think when it starts becoming a real problem is when it just completely makes you feel like that is all you are. That's when you need to start looking at it and think, okay, what do we need to change here? I think being a teenager as well is when a lot of us start to feel insecure about ourselves. We're on maybe social media a lot more, we're online a lot more. People start dating around us, and that informs a lot of like our worth, which it shouldn't, but unfortunately it does. Or at the time it does. Puberty affects us too, our body changes, our skin changes. We get acne, pimples, stretch marks, stuff like that. We start to be very aware of how we look, or we start to be made aware that we should be very aware of how we look, if that makes sense. When I look back at pictures of myself when I was a teenager, I look at the pictures and I'm like, what was I so insecure about? Like, I get that there were things, but I think when you're going through it, because I don't want to downplay what you're feeling right now, especially if you are a teenager and you are listening to this and going through it. I'm not downplaying what you feel, because what you feel is valid and it deserves to be felt. That's why they're feelings. We need to feel them, but it shouldn't consume you to the point where you think that you're like, totally horrible looking. I think when you're going through it, it can be really hard to notice that literally everyone goes through it and it's probably not as bad as you're making it out to be. Most people have this experience where they look back on old photos and they're like, actually, it wasn't that bad. I know I do, at least. I think there is, at any stage of our lives, there is something to love, and there is something to appreciate and love about ourselves, because we are worthy and lovable at all stages of our lives. And I think there is something that all of us want at different stages of our lives that we either had and didn't appreciate, or we are going to have later in life. I know that I'm very insecure about my quote baby face sometimes, and what I think are chubby cheeks, but honestly they're literally just normal cheeks on my face that, maybe aren't the slimmest in the world, or, I haven't got such a defined bone structure. And so sometimes I can blow that completely out of proportion, be like, oh my god, I have the fattest face in the world, I have the chubbiest cheeks in the world. And I do sometimes wish that I have a more defined face. But I also know that when I get older and maybe I lose a bit of weight on my face and, my face becomes slimmer, I'll probably look back on the photos of when I was, me now, and think, oh gosh, my face was so full back then, and my face was so beautiful back then, and now my face is slim and I hate it. Like, so I think one of my first tips is just try to be present and try to appreciate and at least accept what you have now, because I promise you it's beautiful, even if you don't think it is beautiful. I think sometimes accepting is just the hardest thing, and once you just accept it, you can then look at it from a different perspective and actually start and try to appreciate it. That's what I've been doing with my face. Trying to just accept what I have now, because even if it doesn't feel like it in the moment, I know that maybe one day I'll look back and think, oh wow, like what was I worried for? Or oh wow, I love that feature about myself, and now I don't have that anymore, or now I love it. So yeah, I think just trying to be present and accept. If you can't love, if you can't appreciate, that's okay, it will come. Just accept for now. Just accept what you have. I think as well, just realizing when you're insecure because you think you have to be insecure. I know there have been a couple of times in my life where I would never even think to be insecure about something, and then other people have been insecure or about it, or someone has pointed something out on me in a verbal way that hasn't really sounded that positively. So then I start to spiral and think, oh gosh, maybe I should be insecure about it. I remember one day when I was in secondary school, this guy came up to me, not to push the mean gay stereotype, but he was gay and he hung out with the girls a lot, and he wasn't mean, he was just very outspoken at times and very honest maybe at times, maybe said things that he should have maybe just kept in his head. And he came up to me one day and he was like touching my hair and he was like, oh, you're so pretty, and then he was like touching like my fringe, or like the hair on like near my forehead, and he was like moving it out of the way and he was like, wow, and he tilted his head and he went, you have a really big forehead, wow, I never noticed that about you before. And it sounds so stupid now, but from then on in, I was like, oh my gosh, yeah, I have the biggest forehead. Like, I never even noticed my forehead before. It's a forehead, guys. It's a normal forehead. And from then on in, I was like, oh my gosh, he's right. I have the biggest forehead. This sucks. Everyone's probably noticing my big forehead, and, I look so horrible because I have a massive forehead. Oh my gosh, and every time I looked in the mirror, all I could see was my massive forehead, which again will always be a normal forehead. And it's so silly how we can just blow things out of proportion so quickly, especially if we're already in that headspace of feeling insecure. It's so easy for other people to just pick you apart. And I think And I'm not saying that he was insecure, I'm just saying this in general. If people want to make you feel shit, that's because they feel shit and that's on them. And it's never an excuse. Like, you may be going through all the pain in the world, and I'm so sorry, but do not take that out on other people. Do not make other people feel the way you're feeling, because that will just not solve anything. And that's why I always love to lift people up. My friend and me always laugh about it, and she always says, Molly, I've seen you compliment people that we both hate. And it's true, but I think here's the thing, hate's a strong word, and we were joking. I will never hate someone. I will at most I will dislike you immensely. But only if you're like an arsehole, right? And I think even if you're an arsehole, you still deserve to get complimented. Because if I can lift people up and give them love and make them feel good. I know that a compliment doesn't solve everything. Like, if I'm feeling shit and someone compliments me, I'm probably not even going to believe it. But I think just having a compliment out of the blue can make such a difference. Even if you don't believe it, you can still feel good, I guess. And I guess I want to lift people up so they can so they can feel good about themselves, heal, and then stop being assholes, basically. So that's a hot tip as well. Lift people up, even if they're absolute a-holes. Give them a compliment, because it might just help them stop being an a-hole, maybe, just maybe. I think just giving ourselves new stories about these things that we're insecure about as well. Like, I was never really, and I have just like small ones, but again, as a teenager, I completely blew it out of proportion. I was so insecure about my stretch marks. I had never really been before, and then I heard other girls being insecure about their stretch marks, and suddenly I got it into my head that I had to be insecure about my stretch marks on, my thighs, my legs, whatever. You just get them with like puberty sometimes. And I was like, oh my gosh, yeah, I should be insecure about these things. Oh my gosh. Wow. Oh god. I hate these. Oh wow. And then it was only until one day where my friend kind of looked at me and was like, Molly, you're being silly. Like, literally everyone has them. They're a sign of puberty. They're a sign that you're a woman. Like, they're a sign of your growth. Like, they're just there. Like, who cares? And I was like, oh my gosh, she's totally right. And I forgot that I wasn't even insecure about them before. And now I look at them and I appreciate them. I think they're so beautiful because I love being a woman. And I'm so thankful that I can get to grow and live and go through this process of aging and living and growing. And I've attached a new story to them. And now I think they're just so beautiful. And I'm so proud of them as well. Like, I don't know. And that's not to shame people. I know some people use oil and stuff to get rid of them, which is fine. If you want to do that, do that. But do that from a place of love. Don't do it from a place of hate, please. Do it for you and do it because you love yourself. Don't do it from a place of self-hatred or insecurity, please. Because you might find that one day you love them and you miss them. But yeah, that is my tip. Kind of just change how you see things, change the story, change the narrative. And again, with like, we attach meaning to things that we don't really need to attach meaning to. Back to the dating thing as a teenager, and again, I am a straight woman, so this is just my perspective on things. I can't really speak for anyone else, but when I was in secondary school, people started dating, and the whole boy thing. I never really found anyone that I went to school with particularly attractive, or that I had like a few crushes, but they quickly went when I found out that teenage boys could sometimes be big babies. Just saying, no offense. If you're a teenage boy watching this, listening to this, I appreciate you, I see you, but the boys I went to school with were big babies. Anyway, but I still felt insecure because I never really got complimented by anyone. I never really still do. I never really got, quote, noticed. I never had any romantic interest in me. I still haven't. And so that couldn't also help to drive the narrative and the meaning of like, oh, there must be something wrong with me, or oh, I must be ugly because no boys want me. And that is the meaning that I put onto that for a long, long time. And then I suddenly realized, oh, we just give meaning to things. That is not a fact. That I'm not like, boys don't want to date me because I'm ugly. That is just what I took it as, when in reality it was just, I didn't date. And that's fine. And there doesn't have to be a because at the end of that. That can just be a full sentence. That's just a fact. We don't need to attach meaning or reason to that. It's just, it never happened. And you know what? I look back and I'm glad, because like I said, I don't think I needed to date back then. I don't think I would have particularly grown from it or anything like that. Again, that's just my experience. I'm not shaming teenagers who date. I think it's a great thing if it's like a healthy relationship and you both help each other grow, support each other, love each other's company. That's great. But it just didn't happen for me. And I don't think, it's really important to attach any kind of meaning to that. It just didn't happen. And that's okay. I think as well, we're so surrounded by negative marketing and like consumerism can be based on self hatred, or we can be made to feel like we should change that thing about ourselves. Like I said again, that we didn't even notice that we should hate, and then suddenly we see an ad that's like, get rid of this or change that, and suddenly we're like, oh my gosh, should I be changing that? Oh my gosh, should I hate that? I see it a lot as well with like TikTok ads where they're like marketing this thing and like the ads start off as like health benefits and stuff like, take these pills or these vitamins for healthy digestion and de-bloating, or like, the mouth tape for sleeping good. And like, as someone who struggles to get to sleep, I was like, oh my gosh, cool, like, yeah, I'm thinking about getting that or whatever. And as someone with stomach problems, because hot girls have stomach problems, yes, great, like, help me digest, help me de-bloat, cool. But then it slowly starts, well, not slowly actually, it becomes very quickly more about the beauty benefits than it does about the actual health benefits. And there's a lot of self hatred in the ads. Like TikTok ads, there'll be this writing and it will be like, oh, my girlfriend looks so much hotter now that she's like got a flat stomach and stuff like that. And it's like, really? Or, oh, my boyfriend loves that I have a flat stomach thanks to these vitamins or thanks to these gummies. Or, you know, thanks to this mouth tape, I got rid of my turkey gobbler or my double chin. And it's like, wow, it's just so hateful towards either like our partners or ourselves. And I know that, like, obviously this can be taken as like humor and not that deep. And obviously, like, sometimes when you're dealing with insecurities or like mental health stuff, you've got to laugh, you've got to make jokes. But I think there's a time and a place for jokes. And I think these are not humorous, they're just self deprecating and self hateful. And especially with the ones about, like, oh, my boyfriend loves me so much more now that I have a flat stomach, or oh, my girlfriend looks way better now that she has no stretch marks thanks to this oil. It's also just teaching us that love is about perfection and that your partner won't love you unless you're perfect and you have, perfect flat stomach, you have perfect clear skin, which is just, when I think about it, it just really upsets me. It makes me cringe because, first of all, that is obviously not love at all. You should be loved at every stage, and imperfections and flaws are a part of life. No one's going to have a perfect body, and that's just a fact. And also just teaching everyone, but especially younger people, that, that's what love is, which is so upsetting to me. And it's just going to prey on people's insecurities more, which is, when you think about it, it's just so sad that, like, we've gotten to a place in consumerism and marketing where, like, people feel the need that they can just, like, market stuff based on self-hatred, because unfortunately it does work. And we're just taught more and more about the things that we need to change about ourselves, which is pretty much everything, getting down to it. So I think you just really need to take a step back and question, first of all, why do I hate anything about myself? Or why do I dislike anything about myself? Who or what has made me feel this way? Who has made me think that I need to change it or get rid of it? Just really take a step back from your own point of view and think, okay, why do I dislike this? If you're trying to make healthy decisions and you're trying to change your lifestyle for the better so that you feel good, like I say, if it's from a place of love and it's from a place of, I'm trying to be healthier in a healthy way, then great, make those healthy changes. If it's from a place of, oh, I want to get plastic surgery for me, do it, right? Because I don't want this video to be me shaming people for wanting to change themselves. That's not what it's about. If it's coming from a place of self-love, and that's really cool, and I really want to do that for myself, and, it'll be fun, and I like this stuff, let's do it, then by all means go ahead, do it. But if you're doing it from a place of self-hatred, or because you feel like you have to, or because you feel like other people want you to, you shouldn't be doing it. You can only ever make yourself happy in life. You are the only one that you've got from life till death. You cannot be everyone's cup of tea. You cannot make everyone happy, sorry. You just need to make yourself happy and do things that make you feel good, and the right people around you will show up when you love yourself. You need to ask yourself and relearn what beauty is to you. We get so inundated with images of perfection and quote beauty that we think is the standard, that we think we need to adhere to, that we think we find beautiful or attractive, etc. Which I'm not saying that those ideas are wrong, and I'm not saying that those people are in fact ugly. I'm just saying that everyone is different and there's so many shapes and sizes of beauty. We shouldn't just keep such tunnel vision and only go for one image of beauty because there are so many. Beauty is marketed as something that is very samey, is very perfect, it's very straight edged, I guess, for lack of a better term. We're all wanting to get somewhere that doesn't exist, and that place is called Perfect Town. And Perfect Town does not exist. We are beautiful, we are perfect, quote perfect, the way we are now. We just need to shift our mindset to realize that. I think what helped me relearn and reshape my relationship with beauty is Mother Nature and growing a closer connection to her energy, the world around us. I'm just referring to Mother Nature as her because I'm a bit woo-woo like that. You don't have to. This isn't me like pushing my beliefs onto you. This is just how I explain it. But Mother Nature and just being more aware of my surroundings, being more aware of nature and the world that we live in, and looking at the trees and the flowers and, the mud and the lakes and twigs and the grass and just everything. From the way that we've been marketed beauty, Mother Nature shouldn't be beautiful, right? She does things on her own time. Nothing's the same, everything's different. Every tree, every leaf, every twig, the mud, the grass, bugs, animals. It's quite messy in a sense, right? But it's beautiful. If you think about an old building with ivy creeping through, trees growing in and weeds growing out, and Mother Nature basically taking over, that's quite messy, right? From the way that we've been marketed beauty, that shouldn't be beautiful, but it is. At least in my opinion, it is. Mother Nature takes her time, she doesn't rush, she doesn't judge. She doesn't try to adhere to something that she's not, or adhere to someone else's opinion of beauty. She's just herself. She does it in her own time. Just sitting in that energy of nature really did help me begin to feel worthy again, to feel beautiful again. To me, when I tap into that energy, and again, it can be different for everyone, there is no right or wrong, it's just how you feel. To me, when I sit in that energy and when I open up to the energy of Mother Nature, she's very loving, she's very soft, she doesn't judge, she doesn't see your flaws as flaws. She doesn't say that you're doing anything wrong or that you're doing anything right or that you're doing things slowly or that you should speed up. She just accepts and she's there. And you are a part of nature, right? You're growing up in nature as a human on this earth. Earth is our home. And I think it helps me to embrace all of this stuff that we're taught to get rid of or to change. And it helped me realize that to me, this is going to sound really cheesy, but to me, beauty is uniqueness. And that there is beauty in everything different, and we just need to embrace that and embrace our imperfections. And I know that sounds so cheesy. Just embracing things like my stretch marks makes me feel so beautiful. Embracing our messy hair, our bad skin or our bad teeth or whatever that you're insecure about, just accept it. If you can't embrace it, just accept it for what it is, because those are signs of life and growth. Those are signs that you're here. Those are signs that you are growing up, that you grew up, that you're living. Growing up, growing old, being here, it's a privilege, it's a blessing. It doesn't always feel like that sometimes, and I understand, but it is. And I think obviously life comes in many different shapes and sizes, and it should be treasured. And at every stage in our life, we should just accept that we are beautiful. Even if you don't believe it or you don't like the facts or whatever, just accept it. And just remember that self-love starts the now. It starts with accepting what we have now. It starts from within. And we can change things that we don't like about ourselves from a place of love. But we just need to do these things because they feel good to us. They feel right for us. There are so many things, though, to love in the present now. We just have to notice them, rethink them, relearn how you perceive yourself, relearn how you perceive the world and others. There is always something to love in every phase. We just have to notice it I think sometimes we need to not dwell either. I spent a lot of time just staring at the mirror, picking myself apart, picking out everything that I don't like about myself. And I think sometimes when that happens, we just need to walk away. We're not doing anything good to ourselves by just continually picking ourselves apart, picking our flaws apart, quote flaws. And it didn't actually occur to me that I could step away from that mirror and that I could just walk away and not think about it. But you can. It's okay. I think sometimes you need to hear it out loud. You need to be told you can just walk away. I think by staring in that mirror and looking at all of what I thought were my flaws, I thought that somehow it would make it better and that somehow I was doing something and that somehow any minute it was just going to instantly change. But I think I just needed to hear step away from the mirror and just don't think about it. You're giving those thoughts power. Just think to yourself, I'm beautiful. Walk away from the mirror, do something else, write, watch a show, exercise, move your body, rest, whatever, and just think I'm beautiful. You don't have to believe it. We're just feeding ourselves that thought, that belief, so that in time it will build up and you will believe it. There are times where we need to be present and we need to accept, and there are times where we just don't need to think about it. We just need to give it that final thought, I am beautiful. Now we're gonna move on and do something else with our day. And I think that is what I'm trying to do right now, trying to give myself grace and patience and time and love and acceptance. I'm trying to relearn and reaffirm what I already know, remember what I've learned already, try and build upon those lessons, but also get on with my life and not let it consume me to the point where I don't want to go outside or I don't want to live my life because I just don't want to be perceived. Realize that there is always something to be loved about yourself in the moment and live your life and just keep in mind, hey, why do I think I need to change this? Is this coming from a place of hatred or is this coming from a place of love? And why? And what maybe do I need to do now to change this? Or maybe I just need to sit with it and accept it and then let it go. Whatever it is, you will get the message that you need to get, even if it takes time. Sometimes you just need to sit with yourself and be in that energy and let it go. Sometimes you just need to wait for that message to come up, or sometimes you just need to leave it and do something else, and then the message will find you. I'm going to go now because I feel like I've yapped for a long time again. I'm trying to shorten down these things, but I don't think I'm getting anywhere near to making them short. I hope you got something out of this, and yeah, I will talk to you soon about something else, I guess. Thank you for being here, and goodbye.